So this is the first video of the series that I had mentioned in my previous video of Chalk using his shotgun. So again, it's going to be a shotgun series, but not only or entirely shotgun, because as you'll see in this video, I pick up some weapons here and there. It's primarily shotgun for sure, because you'll see, if anything, I should have picked up guns off the floor more often, but yeah. I figured for the first video I could talk about Chalk specifically, and just some game design things that I think would help balance his character a little bit more. I don't by any means think he's horrible or anything, but I do think there are some things that can be done. Sort of a workaround to just helping him be a better character. And there's some good examples of like some things that I feel like need to be done to his ability in order to make it more viable, or at the very least usable, because you could argue that it's viable how it is, but more usable. So as you'll see, I definitely play a lot of corners and play spots with him, and you'll see like I end up frequenting the same spots because I mean you can't be playing it like you have an SMG or an AR for that matter. But again, I'll save making a tip type video until it's something that's requested. But yeah, that last interaction that happened with Anvil, I've actually had a few instances of just some sus activity when it comes to his maw up close, where it just absolutely shreds you. And I miss some shots here and there, but I don't know, I don't think I should have died there. And I think the maw can be really questionable up close sometimes. And it's just like, I don't know, it always just leaves you a little stunned. But you'll also see, even in that interaction, that the shotguns in this game can just be inconsistent sometimes. Also right there, if you could tell that his voice was all Alvin and the Chipmunks, it's I did fast forward some parts just because I didn't want the gameplay to be that long. Especially because this one goes beyond 3 rounds. Because they do take 1 round, I believe, so yeah, I didn't want it to be super long. Even more so because with the shotgun I'm just going to be playing a lot of corners, so I try to cut out some of it. But also I wasn't going to be taking out deaths or anything like that, because you know, it doesn't really matter. So I figured speeding up was the best solution. There's actually the first example of his ability. I think just a classic example of why it needs some love. Because right there, it's an example of how a lot of the times he does his whole little dance routine and he does his scream, and by the time that finishes, you're already dead because that end leg is just horrible. And it makes it so like its usability is very limited. Then you combine that with the fact that like the self-revived, a lot of the times you're not even going to be able to get it off, so it just makes his ability, or his abilities for that matter, because the roll and everything goes into that, very limited. I think at the very least the overheal should work like armor, like Saint has or Dallas or Trench, and so forth.
5 lives left. Make them count.
I think the self-revive it's supposed to be limited because you wouldn't want that to be overpowered when it's such a strong tool to have. So I think if anything, the overheal should be more usable. Also, I haven't talked about it when it was happening live, but the inconsistency you could definitely see. Sometimes the shotgun shots just don't register well at all. That was an example right there of that misinput was an example of me still barely getting used to mouse and keyboard, as I talked about in that first video that I put up. And also, coincidentally, as I'm trashing his ability so much, there was an example of it actually working. But again, that was because that was influenced a lot because I had teammates behind me, so I had time to pop that off. But it also just doesn't make sense for that to be like a consideration when his whole because he has an SMG and a shotgun, so his whole thing is not supposed to be behind cover. It's not supposed to be played super slow. He's supposed to be a more aggressive character. So I think that says a lot in terms of how his abilities currently work. So again, you see that we're just playing corners, playing positions, because I don't want to be cut out in the open. And even for that matter, this map isn't the worst for shotguns, but it's definitely not one of the best. And to that point, there's not a ton of maps in this game that favor them really, that they're usable on. There's another example of his ability working, and again it was with a teammate behind me, which kind of gave me the cushion to be able to use it again. I definitely think if his overheal worked better, that for one he'd be a really strong character, but just he'd be a lot more fun to play, because he's already fun to play, but it still feels like he's missing something, and the abilities, tweaks to his abilities could definitely be that last little key. And another example of keyboard and mouse still being a process for me. But yeah, again, at this point, I think I could definitely say that I'm getting at least close to being comfortable with the shotgun. So, if anyone's interested in seeing shotgun tips or anything like that, I would definitely be open to it. Here I almost get a team wipe pretty much to end the round. But what ends up happening here is that I don't realize that for one, this is my last life and my teammate's last life, and that they have 3 people left. So right here, I killed the Saint, I get out the way, but I forgot that Anvil was still there, and I didn't realize that he never left, because he was one shot in that corner earlier, but I couldn't finish him because there's too many people. So that ends up being the round that we drop. And then in that, one of their teammates didn't have faith in his teammates, so he rage quit before the round ended, thinking that they were going to lose 3-0 round count wise, and they actually pulled it off. So now that's why they have 3 people going into this round. And then I'm pretty sure that Chalk is going to rage quit any second now, because I think the Saint and Dahlia were in a party together. So I think the Chalk ends up leaving, and then the game pretty much just winds down because pretty sure they just end up jumping off the map or something. Seems like another example of the shotgun. Just ghosting shot registration. Wise.
Running low on reinforcement.
But yeah, the game's winding down. Now I should only have like a minute or so left. Actually, they might run out of lives, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, now the Chalk is left. It's only them 2. And I think I end up jumping off the map or something right now. Yeah, it looks like it.
Enemies have been eliminated.
So that's this one. Let's see what the scoreboard is. I end